Hello, Venkata. Good to see you. Thank you very much for joining me today on this discussion, and also for agreeing to participate in the next Service Business Forum in Zurich on the subject that we're going to talk about today, which is engaging people in a world of skills shortages. But before we dive into that subject itself, perhaps you could just introduce yourself and your role and tell us a little about Bruker Nano.
Thanks for having me, Martin. It's good to do this session with you. I'm an engineer by education. I started working as a design engineer in R&D, then moved into field support roles, did some sales and support positions around the world. Currently working as vice president for Bruker Nano Surfaces and Metrology Division. We manufacture nanotechnology research and metrology equipment. These instruments are used to do fundamental science research, help drug discovery, to also make the latest and greatest semiconductor chips that power our phones and all the gadgets. It's pretty interesting technology and field, and I've been working for this company for over 20 years now. I live in London.
Okay, thanks. I think you've got quite a big service organization globally as well, haven't you?
Yes, we have a few hundreds of field engineers and a lot of tech support engineers in factory. We are present in over 25 countries, and our instruments, are sold. Bruker is in every major country in the world, and we support tens of thousands of customers. Yes.
Yeah, sure. Thanks. Okay, so just to explain the subject title for our listeners, this topic was identified by the senior service leaders who attended the previous Service Business Forum events, and they identified this as one of the key issues and challenges impacting the services business today. And specifically, we're talking about the skill requirements for service technicians, for support staff, for support center analysts, in an environment where digital services, digital tools, remote working are becoming absolutely commonplace.
Yes.
And from what you've discussed, I know that your products themselves are in the digital world, but considering specifically the services, from your perspective, what's the impact of digitalization and artificial intelligence on the skills gap? Is digitalization actually helping to address the skills gap for service staff, or is it making it worse?
It is definitely helping. We have been, doing a lot of interactive online trainings. It saved us a lot of time from bringing, tens of new people into factories and move them around the world. We have factories in many locations around the world. Having the ability to train people remotely and empower them remotely using, interactive learning management systems, we've saved a lot of time and managed to get our engineers productive in a shorter time.
Yeah. Okay. So those tools are really helping you in the first place to sort of really keep your guys up to speed. And if we consider the role of the field service technician or the support center analyst, how has the change and to digitalization, the digital tools, connected services, predictive maintenance methodologies, how has it impacted their sort of day-to-day job?
It started to help us. We are able to now help more customers in a shorter time. We also reduce the amount of travel they need to do. So, it helps us with training, with taking care of customers quicker, and also allow our engineers, to spend more time in office than on the road. So it is a good thing for everyone.
Yeah. Okay. Do you see, is it a challenge to sort of maintain the number of skilled technicians that you have?
it is difficult. Again, our instruments are very complex. We can only do certain things remotely. So we still have to go on site. We still have to stay there a long time. These instruments can take 2 days to install to 3 months to install. So the complexity of instruments differ. So it is difficult for us, to do, to keep the team motivated, when they have to do so much travel. So having these digital tools allow us to switch engineers. So some can travel, some can stay and then, do remote support. So having that ability is allowing us to balance workload and then take care of the team, training, support, and also their well-being.
Oh, okay. Okay. So this is apart from the actual skills themselves, you're talking about really supporting the service teams, through the change, focusing on the engagement and the motivation they have in the job and job satisfaction. So yeah, has your service team experienced significant shifts in the way of working over the past few years, and how do you maintain their engagement and their motivation on that?
Yes, it has been going through, again, through COVID, we grew a lot. We had a lot of engineers. We did manage to, train them, but then that connection to the organization has been a challenge because they're always in the field and they had to work a lot through COVID time. So we really, started using remote tools to really make their life easy, and also started working on some soft skills and then life skills training. So we bring them to the offices and then we spend time to, help them uh, build bonds with each other by having some activities and workshops. That helped us keep the team together. So we did lose few people through that period of no contact. Just, excessive use of remote is also not the best. So it's a mix
Right.
of both use of technology, but also at the same time making sure that we treat them as people, not just resources. So that really, taught us a lesson. We managed to, come out of it successfully now with having, team workshops and team building activities.
Yeah. Okay. So it's really a matter of really staying close to those guys, because, like you said, for some people, the sort of remote working environment wasn't so attractive to them.
Yes.
As perhaps working in teams and working on site.
Yes.
How do you determine the skill mix that you need in terms of, people with specific skills, whether these customer skills or technical skills, given the changing sort of business environment, managing the number of skills and the number of resources you need, how do you go about doing that?
I mean, we again, anyone that we hire, they have good education background, so they are capable of doing most of the things. What we try to look for is, in addition to the technical qualifications and capability, we also look for the attitude. If they have the right attitude and aptitude, and if they're willing to learn, I think it's very easy for us to groom them. We always have multiple engineers. It's not, we try and avoid having single point failure. So we'll always have backup for all the resources. But it's really anyone that we talk to, they should not just have technical capability, but the aptitude to really partner and learn. Based on that, we should be able to, support our customers better and keep the team stronger because they have the right aptitude for service.
Yeah, yeah, sure. One of the discussion with the senior service leaders at these previous events was, in some areas there were specific skill gaps, things like data architects, for example, when you're looking at remote support, analyzing the data that comes back from maybe connected machines, and finding those people is quite difficult. Is that an area that is a challenge to you, or is there a specific skill that you see as critical right now that you're really looking to increase?
There are some technologies, very niche technologies that we operate in, and then sometimes we find it hard to find the right candidate. The approach that we are taking is we are trying to hire people with good background, mechanical, electrical, electronics, And if they have the right attitude, willingness to learn, we actually train. We are investing a lot in training material so that we don't get stuck to find a certain, personalities to fill the positions. Instead, having a good training material and process to bring anyone with good education background is what we are focusing on. That's where I said digitalization. We are using a learning
Yes.
management system, and that really gives, we invest in that so we can bring someone decent, and going through this process of training, we can bring them to a very high level.
Yeah, sure. Okay. And in terms of their attitude, towards the sort of the changing role of the service engineer and the service support staff, particularly related to automation and artificial intelligence, remote services. Do you see your teams as excited by the opportunities, or is there a little apprehension or fear about the future and whether they can move towards this more digitalized world?
Our teams are more excited, and we are embracing it. We are testing various things. We're constantly looking at what these tools can do to help us be more productive. At the end of the day, these are just tools that will help. We still have to go. We have more work than we can deal with. So we are looking forward to actually, get these tools help us on a daily basis.
Yeah. So you said you've got more work than you can deal with. So is recruitment a key element for you then about bringing people on board?
Yes, fortunately we have been growing. We have great products, and we are continuously growing. That means we are always recruiting. So yes, that's one challenge that we have: recruiting good people with the right attitude, and then train them and bring them up to speed, in a shorter period. That's why all the investments in, training, remote training portals, etc., and also AI. How do you use the information you have? Because a lot of, in the past, all the information is in the senior engineer's head, but with so many technologies and so much information, we really want to centralize that and structure that in a way that AI can help us bring what we need at the right time in a short amount of time.
Yeah, no, well, that's great. I mean, you're really embracing some of these new technologies to help you with managing the team of resources you have and the skills that they have. And you talked earlier about the learning management systems and the ability to be able to do a lot more of this remotely in order to bring new recruits to productive. You mentioned, that time to productive is really important in the services world, isn't it? You really, you want to have a new recruit being productive in the business as rapidly as possible. So
Yes.
These tools, from what you've said, seem to be, really helping you to do that. In terms
Absolutely.
of the sort of motivation and the engagement, are there other practical steps that you take to really engage your staff and bring them up to speed quickly?
When we hire new people, we really make sure that the first 90 days is a very good experience for the engineer. Come up with a good plan, 30, 60, 90 plan, training plan, goals, and what we want them to be achieving in this time and how we are going to help them. So making sure we assign a buddy engineer, and then the supervisor or the manager, following up with the engineer once or multiple times in a week. And then, we always say, okay, you get the process training and then the basics of any technology remotely within this time, so many hours of training, only then you get onto the instrument. So we have a very good process that we have established. And by doing that, now they understand the process. They have someone who they can go to. The managers are looking after them and helping them. And when they travel, the senior engineers are really giving them choice as to how they can learn. So all these things are really helping people to really embrace the organization, they see what's happening. And we not only do, after 90 days, once they become productive, we always tell it's okay if you don't know something, and it's okay if you make a mistake. We don't really, punish or put it in a bad light. During the weekly meetings, they actually share the things that they've done well, the things that they couldn't do well, and then they learn from each other. So that culture of sharing and creating the safe space and continuous training is what keeps our employees happier and stay longer with us.
Yeah, that very good. Because what we've heard in the marketplace is many companies are suffering from sort of higher staff attrition levels, particularly among field service engineers who are perhaps having difficulty with this transition to the new digital world. But from what you're saying, it's very much about the close contact. So you've got multiple different ways in which you're keeping in contact with your service teams and particularly your new recruits, really to ensure that they're fully supported during those initial times. And that close contact seems to be paying off. So I'm assuming you don't have a big issue with staff attrition. Is that true?
We right now, yes, we had issues in the past. That's why we have invested a lot in training processes and making sure the process is clear, where to go, which factory, how to get support you need when you're stuck, what are your options. So making sure that the process is clear, and training is very, very important. If you don't train and send someone, after a few months, they really get frustrated, because they are unable to get things done. And if the process is not clear, they are unable to get to the right people for help. So we've learned some of these things in the hard way, but we managed to put processes and invest in the right places. Now we have a very good loyalty rate, and our engineers are much more productive and efficient than before.
Wow, yeah, that's very good, very good. And
Yeah.
and I know that you, Venkata, are pretty familiar with the wider services world and attending various events and conferences. In general, would you say service roles in technology service roles in the industry are becoming more attractive to a new generation of talent?
It is actually difficult to attract new talent to service because service is seen as a non-glamorous role. You have to travel, you have to fix things. I go to this elite school, and why do I have to travel and all the time?
Right.
Traveling is one thing people want. Want to be home at the end of the day, and it's not always possible. So there are some aspects that actually deter people from looking into service as a career option. That's why we are bringing the remote tools and AI, and all these things actually help us to attract people so that they don't have to be on the road all the time. They can actually be productive, not going to a customer site all the time. And that balance of travel and then working remotely is really helping, because then they have work-life balance as well. So yes, it is. To answer your question, it is proving to be difficult to find very good people taking service roles that involves a lot of travel.
Right. And so, so I guess culturally we've seen that shift, haven't we, in all sorts of industries actually since the pandemic, that sort of acknowledgement of the sort of work-life balance and the importance of that. But then, and clearly that's impacting the services business as well. But you're saying that you can utilize some of the digital tools that we now have available to us, and through this sort of very close focus on attracting and retaining teams, you can actually deliver that improved work-life balance. And so that is one of the tools you use to make the role more attractive to new
Right.
generations of talent. Yeah.
Yeah, digitalization and really making sure that we have a culture in the organization. Empathy to the field guys who are really, representing you, through ups and downs is very important. And then having that team events once or twice a year and the workshops to really discuss about the issues that we deal with on a daily basis in a safe environment. I think that makes people bond well. And we have a lot of referrals, where our engineers bring engineers, because our engineers' friends have people that they know, even our customers, they get attracted to us, when they deal with our engineers, even though it's a traveling job, when they share what their work life is like, and then the culture of the organization is like, we are able to convince, or we are able to attract our customers joining us, which is, and the students and the PhD students are some of the students in universities, if they meet our engineers and understand what we do, they are attracted to our organization. So which is good. Again, it's all because people feel the purpose, they understand the purpose, and they enjoy the process of being part of the organization.
Yeah, that's excellent. That purpose also really fundamental part, isn't it, of enjoying your job and being good at your job. And that's really a win-win for you if it's really helping engagement not only with your staff but also with your customers, where they recognize the culture that exists in your organization and your service team. Excellent.
Yeah, we have very, very good leaders in the organization. They take care of their team, their customers, and that helps us attract new talent to the organization.
Okay, great. Well, that's been really insightful, Venkata. I really appreciate your time today. Thank you very much for that.
Thank you, Martin.
The subject will be discussed further at the Service Business Forum in Zurich at the beginning of March, and then the research paper will be published on that precise topic, engaging people in a world of skills shortages. And that will come out following the next event. So again, thank you very much for your time today, Venkata. Really appreciate it, and have a good day.
Thank you. My pleasure. You have a good day.